Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to look at how you can configure VLAN trunking. So a VLAN trunk is a port that connect to two switches. Like from this our topology here, the VLAN trunk is the one that connects to these two other switches. Normally, VLAN trunk forwards multiple VLANs over a single port. How does the VLAN trunking works? So in case now these end devices which forward the untagged frame. So these end devices forward the untagged frame. When it reaches the switch will now add the tag to that VLAN. After it adds the tag, it will now forward it to through the trunk link to the other peer switch. When this peer switch receives that frame, it will check its MAC address table to check for the VLAN information. Then it will remove the tag from that VLAN, then forward it to the end PC as an untagged VLAN. Generally, this trunk port will now forward the multiple VLANs. From this topology, we have got two VLANs, that is VLAN 100 and VLAN 200. We want to make sure that these PCs on floor number 1, that is on VLAN 100, should be able to ping with the PCs on floor 2 on the same VLAN. Also, the ones on VLAN 200, that is for the cells, should also be able to reach the PCs on VLAN 200 on the second floor. This is the topology. Now let's see what the lab requires us to do. Company ABC is setting up VLANs for two departments, HR and sales. Create two VLANs to support 12 users in the department. Also, both the HR and sales VLANs are spread over multiple floors and must use different switches. Like I've set in the topology, the switches are on different floors, but now the users should be able to access on the same VLAN. You must trunk the interfaces connecting the switches to allow both VLANs to traverse the core switch. So that is the lab requirement. And now let's go straight away into our lab and start the basic configurations. Tap to CLI. So enable command, config terminal. After that, we create the VLANs. So we're going to create VLAN 100. And name here, this one will be HR VLAN. We create VLAN 200. Name is this one will be sales VLAN. After creating the VLANs, exit and now enter the interfaces and assign the VLAN if interfaces IP addresses. So interface VLAN if 100 IP address here, we're going to give it 192.168.1.12 with a mask of 255.255.240. Sorry, we have not completed this one. .255.240. Enter. Now the next is to create a VLAN interface VLAN 200. VLAN 200 will give it IP address of 192.168.2.12 with a mask of 255.255.255.240, it being a /28. After that, we exit. And we are going to add we are going to create the access interface and add them to their respective VLANs. So interface range here. Interface range here will be first Ethernet 0/1 to first Ethernet 0/2. That is the first two ports. Now here switch port mode access, them being accessed, then switch port access VLAN here will be 100. Interface range for VLAN 3 to 4. 3 to 4. Now switch port mode here will be access. Switch port access. VLAN here will be VLAN 200. After we create now these access ports, now we are going to create this trunk link to forward the multiple VLANs. So that is VLAN 100 and VLAN 200. So exit interface first Ethernet 0/5. First of all, switch port here. The first thing that you need to configure on this trunk link is now at the encapsulation mode. So normally Cisco use the several encapsulation modes. So switch port here, when you use a trunk and encapsulation here and equation, you see here we'll have got .1q. By .1q, Cisco uses .1q and also ISL. So we are going to use a .1q. Enter. After that, now enter switch port mode here, trunk. Before you, if you don't configure the encapsulation mode, the trunk command won't accept. So you need to configure the encapsulation mode. After configuring the trunk, now switch port trunk, allow pass. How many VLANs are allowed? Allowed VLAN here will be VLAN 100 and VLAN 200. We are done with that switch. Now we go to our second switch here. Say no. Enable command, configure terminal, enter create VLAN. So VLAN 100. Name here will be HR VLAN. VLAN 200. Name will be sales VLAN. Exit and now enter the interface VLAN and give them IP address. So interface VLAN 100. IP address here will be 192.168.1.14 with a mask of 255.255.255.240. Enter for VLAN 100. The IP address will be 192.168.2.14 with /28. Now after that, exit and now add the VLANs to the ports. Now interface range here will be first Ethernet 0/1 to first Ethernet 0/2. Switch port here mode is access. Then switch port access VLAN here will be 100. Enter for interface range from 3 to 4, 3 all the way to 4. Switch port mode here will be access. So switch port access VLAN 200. After that, exit and enter for the trunk port. So we are going to create now the trunk link. So interface first Ethernet 0/5. Now there's something that I showed you, that is before you configure the encapsulation mode, the trunk won't accept. So now switch port mode here. If you try the mode before you configure the mode trunk, you see here the interface whose trunk encapsulation is auto is not configured on the trunk. So now first of all we're going to switch port trunk here, encapsulation mode here will be .1q termination. Now you can switch mode trunk, then switch port trunk, allowed VLAN will be 100 and VLAN 200. Sorry, make sure there's no space between. After that comma, VLAN 100 and VLAN 200. Now, having set the trunk port, now let's see if PCs on floor number 1 can reach PCs on floor number 2 on the same VLAN. So when you look at here, they already have IP addresses. Come to desktop here. They already have IP address. Like this PC has IP address of 192.168.1.7. So come to this PC and try to reach that PC. Come to desktop, command prompt. So it is .7. So ping 192.168.1.7. So you see it's able to reach. And what about, we're going to try to ping now. While you are on this PC, let's try to ping the PC on a different VLAN, that is on the sales department. So can it reach, or while you are on VLAN 100, can you ping VLAN 200? I will be dot 192.168.2. It is not able to ping that one because now these two PCs are on different broadcast domain. They are on different broadcast domain because we said switches only isolate collision domains. For them to be able to isolate broadcast domains, that is, we are going to implement now what is called a layer 3. We're going to configure routers to enable a different broadcast domain to be able to communicate. But now, PC on this other sales VLAN, that is VLAN 200, should be able to reach the PCs on the same VLAN at 200 on the switch on the other floor, that is floor number 2. So come to that PC. So ping 192.168.2.8. So it should be able to reach those other two PCs. So that is how you implement trunking. That is showing you how the ICMP packets is traveling when we try to ping our network towards the a switch on the another floor. You can see it has traveled and come back successful, so meaning that it has been verified. The second one has also traveled successfully. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you have any question, remember to share in the comment section and we'll be able to respond as soon as possible. If you are new to the channel, remember also to subscribe so that you can support our videos.